Hey, my Crochet After Dark friends. It's Gwen of the channel of the same name, Crochet After Dark. And I am crocheting after dark, but it's only 8:40, not nearly midnight. This is an early night for me. If any of y'all have checked out like what time I am posting videos, you'll notice that it's sometimes pretty late at night um, because I am a night owl and I prefer doing things like crocheting at night as opposed to crocheting during the daytime. I don't know why. I'm weird that way. It just seems to it somehow speaks to my little bitty pea brain. Um, so who knows? I was reading some instructions because I can't keep a pattern in my mind lately. I think my brain has just been too full of stuff from school and not really being able to keep up with what I needed to keep up with. And tonight I am having the hardest time getting into stitches, doing all sorts of things. Y'all ever have a time when you just can't, when you're just completely unsatisfied with what you're working on, with everything that you touch, nothing seems to work out right? That's been me tonight. I have picked up and put down several things. I decided that the ribbing on the dog sweater didn't look right. My beginning rows were done, I think, so incredibly tightly that I had the correct number of stitches, but they looked significantly shorter and smaller than the later rows. So I decided I was going to frog and I was going to go back. I was going to just start over. Well, when I started to frog, I don't know if I had split stitches all along the way or what, but the yarn started creating these little bitty tiny micro knots. And I was just so aggravated with it that I eventually just cut it loose, left myself a long enough tail to get started. And it's in timeout probably until tomorrow because I can't deal with it. Anymore tonight. It was making me very frustrated. So I finished off a scrunchie that I was working on. I wove in some ends because I hate weaving in ends. I had been letting them dangle on scrunchies. So I decided that I needed to go ahead and take care of that. I haven't made that many scrunchies, but I can already see an improvement in my style. I'll do a little show and tell here in just a minute. First thing I want to show and tell is I mentioned to y'all that I had a student who made me a possum, and here's the little possum that she made me. You can see it from the side. It has a little curly tail back here, and from the front, she even got the little ears on it and everything, and the kind of long snout with that very pink nose. I absolutely love this. My Max does not play with toys, but I'm afraid to leave it down where he could get to it because I just worry that he would decide he's going to fight with it. And also my cats. My cats are awful about grabbing hold of stuff and deciding they're going to make it into a cat toy. So I keep it up on the mantelpiece usually. But I got it down so I could show y'all what was going on there. I think that a couple of nights ago, I don't know how long, I started a coaster for a coaster set. It seems very big and it seems a lot floppier than the one I have started for tonight. Who knows? I probably used a different size crochet hook, and now the one I make tonight will be bigger or smaller. I don't know what, but it could end up being it could be a real mess. I could have to pull all that out and start over and, do something smart, like put everything into a project bag and put the hook in with it. No, let's not go there. Anyway, here's, I may have shown y'all this before, red scrunchie that I've made. I've got 3 of the silver ones that look pretty good and 2 of these so far. And I'm going to keep working away at them. I have to go to the doctor Tuesday. It's about a 2-hour drive to get to the doctor I'm going to. It's a specialist I have to see for my back. On the 18th, I'm going to tell y'all a long sordid story about how I came to have to go see a spine doctor and have some various and sundry other things done because it's a crazy story. And you probably need to like make yourself a cup of tea to sit back and listen to it. I think it's a crazy story anyway. And it will be the 4th anniversary of it on the 18th. So you have something to look forward to. You can hear a story of how stupid and foolish I have been at a time in my life. I say stupid and foolish. That's going to make y'all think I went out and I did something like, went bungee jumping or jumped out of a perfectly good airplane. And that's not at all what I did. But it does involve falling, just not out of any object you might think of. But I'm not going to tell you any more about that because that's a tale for another day. I went to my good friend ChatGPT this evening because I was like, I don't know what to talk about. I could rattle on with stories about me or about my creatures or whatever. Everybody except Coco is being nice and quiet. Life is good. You can see Max is behind over here. A little bit of Jackson. Oh, all of Jackson. A little bit of Can. And there's Miss Cokes. But I thought, let's talk about a little bit more about crochet. I listened to Elise Rose Crochet. And when she has somebody on, when they do I guess it would be like a live session. I don't know. But when she has a guest that she brings on, she always does a crochet this or that. And so I asked ChatGPT to give me something similar. And I love some of these questions. I'm going to go through them and I want y'all to listen. And then for any of them that really strike a chord in you, that make you have a strong reaction to them, drop a response and tell us why you make a decision like this. In talking about yarns and colors, do you prefer Christmas red or winter white? For me, it's going to be red. White, to me, is dangerous because I'm going to get it dirty. I just know that I'm going to get it dirty. I was the dirt magnet child, and I pretty much, I still don't wear like a white top because I know that I will spill something on it, or I will, a pin will burst and it will get all over my shirt. You name it, I know that it will happen. So you will seldom see me in a white blouse because I know that it won't work out very well. Years ago, I used to show dogs, and a friend that I showed with, she had a white sweatshirt that she wore all the time. And periodically her mother would take it and launder it. And then when she got it back, it would be sparkling white. I was like, how did your mother do that? She's like, I don't know. She won't give me the secret. But it was amazing. Would you rather crochet with sparkly yarn or a soft mat? I kind of like sparkly yarn. Personally, I think that's more fun. I do like soft mat, but if we're talking about a Christmas time edition, I would go with sparkly yarn, I think. Would you rather have one festive skein of yarn or a full holiday stash? Full holiday stash, hands down. You're bound to have something that will be festive enough in that full stash, right? That's what I think. When you think about what you like to crochet, do you like simple stitches or textured stitches? I'm a simple stitch kind of girl. I'm drawn to textured stitches, but then when I start reading the instructions for how to make them, I'm like, oh, no, there's too many steps. I'm going to start, I'll forget one, or I'll mess up something along the way. So I'm a simple stitch kind of girl. And kind of in line with that, do you prefer a project that has repetitive rows or stitch variety? I would like some stitch variety, but those repetitive rows are really easy to do when you're watching TV, when you're just sort of, as the kids say, no, they don't say that. We used to say it when you're just kind of crashing out. Now, when you say crashing out, it means you're very upset. You're having a hissy fit. Where did they get that from? So I don't know. I like both, something that has repetitive rows, but I do like some stitch variety also. Do you prefer watching tutorials or just winging it? It's another one. I have winged it on a number of projects. Usually they're like a blanket or a lapgan. Nothing too, I mean, like the young lady that made me the possum, she freehanded it. And I'm just amazed that she could do it because I can't, I probably couldn't make that possum with instruction. So I would have to say watching tutorials or a weird message there. I would either watch a tutorial or read a pattern. Oh gosh, suddenly I'm going to get everything in the world. Would you prefer to crochet by the tree, the Christmas tree, or on the couch? Well, I don't have a Christmas tree set up. Won't be putting one up. 5 cats, Christmas tree, no. And nobody comes to my house for Christmas. We go to my sister's house. She puts up the tree. So I would prefer to crochet on the couch. Christmas music or holiday movies? Y'all need to weigh in on this one because I think both of these are awful. I don't want to listen to a lot of Christmas music and I don't want to watch holiday movies. Am I a bah humbug? I don't think I am, but I'm not keen on that. Daytime stitching or midnight crochet? Guess which one I like? I like that midnight crochet. I wish I could get into the whole daytime stitching thing, like, get up, do housework, yuck, housework, and then sit down and crochet while I watch TV, but I never seem to get there. And do you weave your ends in immediately or do you leave that for later? Is that going to be your January use problem? For me, it's January use problem. It's why I don't really, it's one of the reasons I don't care for doing granny squares. I don't want to have to keep changing colors. You know how they change colors in every row or every round. And that's a lot of ends you end up with to weave in. Oh, it's terrible. And then you've got to put a border on it. And I haven't taught myself how to do the join as you go method, which would probably be preferable to having 10,000 little squares that you've got to somehow put together and then weave in all the ends. Oh, it just seems dreadful there. And then my last question for you, do you prefer, while you stitch in this cold weather during the holidays here, hot cocoa or tea? I'd have to go for hot cocoa. I don't like a hot tea once it begins to get cool. And the hot cocoa just seems like a beverage you should drink quickly. But if I really had to say what I wanted, I wish that they would sponsor me. Be Coca-Cola. This is my beverage of choice, and it is I know it's horrible for you. Just horrible to ingest all this sugar, etc. So I know all that, but it's still we have a very bad relationship, Coca-Cola and I, fighting only with Amazon for who I'm in a worse relationship with. And so I had to have a slug of it because I think it's good and tasty. So I'm curious what you guys are working on, and what kind of, have you tackled something new, something different than what you've worked on before? Uh, or are you, do any of you ever feel like you get stuck in a rut and you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over? Um, I had been feeling that way, and I got, I don't even know what made me decide that I was going to start crocheting more. But it could have been something to do with the stress of the school year. I just don't know. I mean, we have the crochet group at church, so I was crocheting with them every Sunday. But it was, we were just doing, lap gans or prayer shawls. We've done, well, I've done some caps for um, local cancer center for chemotherapy patients. I clearly, tonight I can't crochet and talk because I'm about to make a billion mistakes in what I'm doing. And it's one of the simplest things on earth that I'm doing. Um, so, you know, I kind of felt in a rut with what I was crocheting for for our crochet group, and it was just something that struck me, and I think it was actually going to a market. There's a church in our uh, little town that has a monthly market. They have like a rodeo arena at their church. Where they built their church had once been the site of a rodeo arena, and they refurbed the old arena. It had fallen into disrepair, and they refurbished it. And they have little small rodeos there. I had a student last year who uh, frequently rode in the rodeos there. She is a barrel racer, little tiny girl. I think about her on those big old horses, going so fast around the barrels. If I were her mother, I wouldn't be able to watch. I'd be terrified that she was going to come flying off that horse. But apparently she never has. Anyway, I went to the market that they had there, and at one booth there was a woman who had crochet, and she was selling. There was a lot of amigurumi. I think it was almost all amigurumi, as a matter of fact. And I was very impressed with it, and I just chatted with her a little bit. I didn't say like, "Oh, how much did you have to pay for your booth? Oh, how much money have you made?" Um, but I just asked her if she enjoyed it, if she had fun with it, and she said that she did, that she enjoyed going to little markets like that and selling. And I think she has an Etsy shop, and somewhere I have her card. But I was when I was talking to her, it just made me think, I would kind of like that. It reminded me of going to the dog shows. That there'd always be a vendor section, a vendor hall. It would all be devoted to dogs. You could get shampoo, or you could get brushes or combs, leashes. Usually there'd be at least one vendor there with t-shirts. So there would be fun stuff at the show. And I don't know, I just got to thinking about this, and it was like, well, why don't you crochet some stuff and take it to a market? This thought had never crossed my mind before. And I've tried one amigurumi. It turned out kind of so. I will not show it to you because I don't think it's that great. But I also, at the same time, my nephew started asking me to make things for him. He needed some pot holders and hot pads, and he wanted some dish towels. He wanted me to make these things for him. My nephew has, I don't know, he always has had a hankering towards simpler times and the things that come from those times. So I did that. I made him some pot holders, made him some hot pads, made him a couple of dish towels, made him one dish towel, and he has enjoyed using them. So I thought, well, I could do that. I could make some hot pads. I could make dishcloths. That's easy enough. It's showed you all that scrubby yarn, because that's kind of what I'm thinking right there is that those would work out. So the one that's the thinnest, I was even thinking about holding it with the same color cotton and sort of having a dual layer of washing ability, I guess you call it that. I don't know. These are things that run through my mind in the evening too. And tonight my brain seems to be on more of a squirrel mode than anything, with my inability to get settled on a project to do. I can't find anything to watch on TV. I love to find a show that I can binge. I binged The Gilded Age, and when it was, I haven't found anything since I finished watching it a couple of weeks ago. So I'm always just dissatisfied with what I'm watching on TV. It's not making me happy. So anyway, that market, and talking to she was a young woman who was doing all of this. And as she sat there in her stall in between customers, she was crocheting away, making more items to put into her booth. And I don't know, I was just kind of impressed by that. So I have this thought in the back of my head that I want to get enough things made that I could have a little booth at some sort of little market like that. I think the one at this church might be a good place to start. It doesn't get a whole lot of traffic, but I think it gets enough traffic that I could get my feet wet there, so to speak, and then figure out if I really want to try to go to a larger market at some point. So that's, that's kind of why I'm doing things like making these coaster sets, making the scrunchies. I don't know if I want to do anything like Etsy. Those of you who have any kind of experience with Etsy, I'd appreciate hearing about it. Or even, I know some people sell on Shopify, or they sell through Shopify. Again, if you have any experience with that, I'd like to hear about it, to know whether it's a good thing or not. But these are the kind of the ramblings of my insanity at this hour of the night. 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. Hot dog. Oh, wait. I think I have 25. I do have 25. Oh, my gosh. Okay. See? Didn't read the pattern. Didn't pay attention. Shame on me. And yes, okay. I'm good here. I don't know. Is this going to be right? I don't know if it'll be right or not. I'll find out, won't I? I hope it is. So you see, I just had to frog an entire row because as I was talking, I didn't put my first stitch in the right place. So think about some of those this or that's. Weigh in on them. If you have other this or that's, drop those in the comment section too. I always think they're kind of fun. It's fun to find out what people are into, what they would do or not do, what colors of yarn they might use or never use. For me, even though I have some that I want to make stuff out of, black is the killer color for me. But anyway, I'm going to try to restitch this row on my little coaster, see if I have the right number of stitches when I get through doing it. And maybe tomorrow night I will be more firmly settled on something. Here's my last question for y'all for tonight. I have the yarn already for a blanket for my nephew. He requested it. He requested it actually a year ago, and I haven't made it yet. I did buy the yarn, so I've got the yarn at hand. I have 3 colors. I think it is it's a superwash. I don't know if it's just a superwash wool or if it's superwash merino. Neutral colors, 3 of them. I had envisioned doing some kind of really simple assignment of the colors, X amount of rows of this one and that many of the next one, yada yada. I had no pattern in mind. I was going to freehand this thing. But then the more I've thought about it, I think maybe I would like to see some patterns, some fairly simple patterns, I have to say, but or at least be told about some patterns or some stitch patterns that might look nice. I was just probably going to use a double crochet and make it, just start by making a chain and going, oh yeah, that looks good, and moving along from there. And so if you have a pattern that you like or that you think is good for, I don't know, good for a man. I don't know that there's anything to say about that. He does live in North Dakota, so nothing that's too open and cold for him. Because one of the reasons, his initial thing that he said to me was, I want you to make me a wool blanket because it's cold up here. And I said, I'm not making you a wool blanket because you'll ruin it. And he said, why do you think I'd do that? I'm like, because you wash it and throw it in the dryer. So I compromised finally and said, you know what? We'll go with a superwash wool that you can wash gently and then lay it out somewhere to dry. So he understands that the washing instructions will be included with the project. So, but he loves it when I make him something, no matter what it looks like. God bless him. He's been the victim of plenty of things I've made and that probably didn't look real great. So I would like to do a pretty blanket for him and have it be something that he'd be proud to put it on the back of his couch or fold over the foot of his bed or just whatever, because he is always so proud of projects that are made for him. I have stitched so tight I cannot pull my chain stitch through this stitch. Good night. You see, I have not been stitching this tight in years. I mean, I used to stitch so tight that it would make my friend Tara say, pardon the language, any of you who don't like it, but she'd say, why are you being such a tight ass with your stitches? And I'd be like, I don't know. I just feel like they ought to be tight, so that things don't get loose and baggy in the project. But I have worked on my tension over the years and really eased up on my tension. And this, I cannot believe how tight that, wow, finally got it. That stitch was incredibly hard to get through, man. So maybe tonight is not a night I need to crochet. Maybe I need to just read a book or sit here and hold a cat in my lap. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. I hope my vibe is back tomorrow. I'd love to be able to show you maybe 2 or 3 coasters. Another scrunchie or 2. Love to think about starting some kind of amigurumi. I've got a couple of easy little things that I might do, like real easy. You know what else I want to do? I want to make a beanie. I've been seeing the cat's ear beanies that people make, and I just look at that and think that is the simplest thing on earth that they're making right there. So I may hunt down a pattern for one and start a cat's ear beanie. Um, and it'd be a completely different kind of yarn, a completely different sort of vibe than what I've been having going on. It might be just the thing that would get me out of my funk. So tomorrow you may see me working on a beanie. Who knows? All right. Well, my little cat family and dog family, we're going to say goodnight. Little Possum says goodnight as well. And I will see y'all tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 15. We are today 11 days away from Christmas. Tomorrow it will just be 10 days. If you have not finished your Christmas projects, you better start stitching fast. Or if you haven't gone Christmas shopping, you're going to have to go fight the crowds. Sorry, I am very pessimistic today. I'm sorry about that. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I appreciate it so much. It's not even funny. I now have 60 subscribers, so I guess that my next goal has to be 75. These little smaller goals, y'all are blowing past them, and I appreciate it so much. So if you haven't subscribed, click that button. Please hit like on this video. Leave me a comment about the this or that. Do you like those holiday movies, or do you want to listen to Christmas music? Or are you like me and you would prefer not to have to deal with either one of them? Let me know. I think it's fun. And add your own this or that in the comments too, so that the rest of us can answer your question and get in on it. All right. I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye. Koki, stop pushing on me.